All right. So, Maji, hanging out with Coach
Hey,
Scott.
hey guys, how are you?
Good, good, good.
Good.
Good to see Coach Scott back in Utah still. Celebrating Christmas
Uh,
in Utah.
yeah, had a weekend here in Chat, just gone, and then Christmas in Utah. So yeah,
How's that? That's probably beautiful.
yeah. I mean, it's all right. The snow that we got was more slush, so
Oh yeah.
as I was telling someone earlier, it wasn't enough to make me want to go grab my skis. So yeah, it's a pretty place. Yeah.
Cool, cool. Well, we just gathered here to chat about the team, off-season developments. Several other teams have, announced some signings. Some of our people have gone to some close teams. Some of our people have, maybe not made some announcements yet. So I think everybody's just sort of at the edge of the seat trying to figure out, what's going on with the team. How's the off season going? What's the plan for this year? So we figured we'd just sit down with you and have a quick chat.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm looking forward to hopefully shedding some light on what's been going on.
Sure. So I guess first question would be, what is kind of going on? We don't expect you to make a player announcement now, but, without saying any names, how many players are sort of in the mix right now? How many are we still looking for?
We're actually pretty close to being done with at least our preseason business. So right now we have 15 players either under contract or agreed terms, and all the difference between the two basically just means that that a set of initials need to be put on a piece of paper, but essentially they're done deals. So 15 done deals, which going into January, I'm really happy with actually. We've been really proactive about it. So yeah, 15 there, and then the couple of others, one or two others in the pipeline going into preseason.
Okay.
Nice. Nice. As far as with the fans, we're talking about, getting the information out to the fans. Of course, everyone's hungry as our fan base, as you probably have heard, to see all these announcements that are coming out. What's your thoughts of how the fans are reacting, and would you say the way that they're eager, hungry, the way that the comments are that we're posting on there, looking, waiting for you guys to throw us a bone of a player name or an announcement? How do you feel about the fan base, with the pack and everything? And
I think I'd be really disappointed if people weren't like clamoring for signings, if people weren't eager to know what's going on, if people just didn't care. It is a much worse situation to be in than to have people upset because there hasn't been news. Because you don't know who's on the roster, and because you don't maybe know the direction, which is why we're doing this call, right? To shed a little bit of light, to give all the information that I'm capable of giving at this time. So I mean, in regards to that, I think you'd just be disappointed if people weren't wanting more. I think that'd be a much worse situation to be in. One of the benefits, or one of the good things about the Chattanooga Red Wolves, is we do have a passionate fan base, and we have a core of people who are like extremely passionate and really do care. And that's important, I often think about one of the challenges with USL One as a whole, in terms of information. I follow stuff, where it's Twitter or Reddit or whatever, across different clubs, just because, and I see a lot of stuff, and I'm like, no, that's not right. That's not right. That's not how it works, etc., etc. And I think about it. You think about the American sports here, obviously, whether it's MLS or it's NFL, NBA, or if you think about even lower level professional football in England, it's covered by the media. There's whether a club wants to communicate or doesn't want to communicate, there's people that go and find that information, which essentially is what we're doing here, is getting it out. that's always one of the challenges. There isn't a media outlet that covers the league, and there's a lot of misinformation out there, which hopefully we can, dive in and dispel some of that here. But I think it's a good thing. The fans are passionate, that they care, that they want to know what's going on, that they're invested. I think would be in a much worse situation. And again, from a fan's perspective, I wish there was more out there. I wish there was more information, more transparency, more maybe media outlets that could help cover the league and some of the things going on. I do as someone now on the inside quite enjoy some of the takes and to see whether they are on, like you get people who are, put themselves out there, not in our fan base in general, around the league as insiders. And I'm like, yeah, that's not it. So I get a bit of a kick out of that sometimes, but yeah, so I think it's a good thing. And I mean, I can touch on, if you'd like, why we haven't made announcements, why it's been quiet.
Sure.
Yeah,
that'd be great. Absolutely.
That would have probably been the next question anyway.
Of course. Yeah, I can mark it off now.
So long story short, the process that you have to go through to get to the point where you can announce a player this year is slightly more complicated than it had been in the past. So, for example, last year we would agree terms with a player, send them a contract, they would sign it, Bob would sign it, or Sean as president would sign it. We'd send that to the league for just obviously for all the details, cross the I's, dot T's, etc. And then typically it comes back with that phrase, ready to announce pending whatever league and federation approval, something like that. And so that meant we could have signed, I mean, we would have been making announcements. I don't know the exact dates, but I know we announced more players last year than we have this year. And frankly, all around the league, everyone had announced a lot more players. And so the change is around medicals. I actually don't know how much I'm at liberty to share here or not. I'm just going to share it. The changes around medicals. And so historically, players come into market whenever preseason is. Our players will report January 20th this year. They'll have a medical. And then, but the medical wasn't dependent on the announcement. Now you cannot announce a player without a medical first. And so that's the holdup. And so obviously there's a couple of ways around it. You can have a medical done in a different market. So that might mean an international player. You have to find a physician, a doctor that you trust in that market or in different markets. There's obviously significant cost incurred. We have a very good doctor that we trust and have a great partnership here in market. And that's really where the holdup is. It's not that we've not been busy. It's not that, frankly, the ticketing guys, I'm sure, are desperate to get. Their job is much, much harder. Sean's job is much, much harder when there's not any publicity or anything that we can publicize and drive some excitement around. But there's not anything from a club standpoint that we can do. And if you look through, if you look at the other clubs that have announced outside, you can waive the medical, which is, again, complete assumption, is what I think Naples are doing, who have announced 4 or 5 brand new players. Obviously, they're brand new. It's what I think some of the other clubs are doing. And if you look at there's a really good resource that on Twitter that tracks all the transactions in the league.
Mm-hmm.
If you look through that and you look at, say, One Knox have made, and they made another one today, was Zaragoza is a returner, someone they had on an option. So the players that have been announced outside that are either in market, so where they could go and get, and again, I am making assumptions here, where they could get a medical done locally and then cleared to announce, or they're players that these clubs have brought back on club controlled options. But if you look around, if you went and did a direct comparison from what was being announced last year across the league, for example, Tormenta, have only announced their options. I actually looked at it earlier just to make sure I wasn't talking nonsense.
Yeah.
The only, what I would call legacy club that's announced any brand new signings is Greenville. And I'm pretty sure Mark just made them do that so he could rub Rapapa in my face. So
I saw that, and also I think Jimmy Villalobos went somewhere. Now it's
Santa
escaping
Barbara.
me exactly where.
Alta, he's gone to
Alta.
Alta.
Yeah.
Alta.
Seems like new teams are maybe because Westminster has signed at least one as well.
I think
there
there are
new team.
4 announcements, yeah, and that would be my assumption. They're either in market or they're waiving the right to a medical. And what that basically means, if we waived the right and I had a player coming in, and for whatever reason they tear their ACL, a week before playing pickup, then that contract's guaranteed for the entire year. And I had enough players sit out the season last year with major knee injuries. So the risk is so high, and that's why it is. And it's very frustrating. Obviously, I'd love to tell you, I'd love to put names to the 15. I'd love you guys to be going, yeah, this makes a bit more sense. But these are this is where the goalposts are, and we have to play within them.
So that's got to happen probably fairly soon after the new year then, right? For make that January 20th date.
Yeah, so I would imagine that we'll be able to start getting announcements and stuff out mid to late January, which we'd love to do sooner. But I'd imagine that's when they'll realistically be able to start becoming public.
And feels a little tight with the March 8th first game date. The Ziggy year, which, we don't talk too much about that, but, we started the season with trialists and visa issues. So I think some of the anxiety is coming from that as well. We don't want to be 8 games in and then we're just getting, our final starter.
No, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, look, our players are signed, they'll be registered. They just might not be public. I might start pre-season. The actual first training session is January 27th. And I'll have players that I'm working with, and hopefully you guys will know about all of them by then, but you may not. But it doesn't mean they won't be preparing to play on March 8th. That makes sense.
That's good.
So we're going into the season with, if we bring in trialists, we're looking at them for the long term. I'm going into the season with the squad I intend to work with on day one.
And I want to say day one is Naples, right? FC Naples.
Yeah.
First one?
We're on the road. I think the first 2 weeks we're on the road, and then the home opener will be
beginning of April. Pretty much same as last year.
Yeah. That sounds right. Yeah.
How much more excited are you about the roster this year versus last year, and how much more control would you say do you have on the roster as far as like what was given to you last year, where you came in at the end, and then this year being your 1 year into USL 1, where you've had kind of a way to sit down and watch and see how USL 1 plays, and then just the players that are available.
Yeah.
What would you say comparing the 2 rosters? And I know last year's was injury plagued, but how excited are you about this year versus last year starting off?
Well, I think I don't know any coach that goes in and is not excited going in. So if I was to be like, I'm more excited this year than I was last year, I'd be lying, right? But I'm itching to get back. I'm excited about what we put together. I think there was a lot of lessons learned last year. You referenced injuries, and this is the one thing about me. I don't believe in excuses. I think there are reasons why things happen, but ultimately, if you want to be excellent, if you want to be the best at what you want to do, and frankly, I do, you have to be able to take account for your own actions and whatnot. And one of the things we found last year is that when we lost key players, guys like obviously a Johnny Philippe or even a Richard Renteria, and then obviously we lost Omar Gomez for large periods early on in the season. We lost players for 6-week periods. Between key like profiles, so an Omar Gomez, a Johnny Felipe, Richard Renteria, who are more mobile, able to cover ground. I wanted to press. I wanted to be on the front foot. I wanted to give you a more deliberate version of the football you saw at the back end of 2023, which was, high octane. There was lots of goals. We were certainly front footed. And what we didn't do well enough last year is we didn't build, like when we lost a handful of players that were more of that profile, what we were left with weren't able, and it's not a fault on them, and it's not me saying they aren't good football players. They just weren't the right football players to play the type of football we needed to play. And we didn't have, once injuries hit, we didn't have the replacements for that. So, going into obviously 25, being much more deliberate in the recruitment. Everyone has to be of a certain physical profile for the most part. And obviously you need some variance. So there is some variance in there, but of a certain physical profile so that we can play a certain style of football, so we can be more front footed, so we can be more aggressive and in the way we want to go forward, so we can play at a higher intensity and a higher tempo. And again, last year, I think we did have good players. They just didn't fit. And again, it's not an excuse. But that's one of the learning thing, outcomes that have taken place, is we have to be way more deliberate in the way we want to play and make sure that it's not about the player or the quality of the player. It's about, can they fit the role and responsibility? So we've tried to go down that avenue way more.
A lot more energy, excitement, shots on goals is what we're hearing here for this upcoming season.
That's the goal. I thought in certain games, I know you guys did too, I thought we were boring.
It's not a family show. It's okay.
All right, good. I know I am a family guy. I'm just not when it comes to football. So boring, and it's so frustrating. You obviously have front row seats. I'm an energetic football coach. I don't sit there and take notes and that's not me. I am very much personality and passion, and I want to drive things forward. And I would look at people. Success is all about environments and right environments for the right people and all that kind of stuff. But I'd go away from games thinking, bloody hell, could we, let's just give it a go. Give it a go. Get in behind a little bit more. Step out 10 yards. And I just don't like that. That's not what we want to do. There'll be games where we have to be pragmatic. There's teams in this league that spend a whole lot more money than we do, that have more experience than we do. And there'll be times where we have to be pragmatic and we have to be sensible about the way we set up tactically to try and come out with results. But on a whole, yeah, that's exactly what I want. I want more services in the box. I want more opportunities to break at speed. I want more opportunities to regain the ball higher up the field out of pressing moments. I want a controlled chaos, and I want a team that thrives and goes the last 10, 15 minutes. That energy, that franticness, that we can go and go and go. One of the things I like about the club historically, I've told lots of people, in the prime, if you ask me what the prime was, it was when you started selling that cardiac punch. The cardiac, it was, and you had that feeling that you never beat. And in 23, actually, when I came in, we recaptured a little bit of that. I don't think we scored first, and then just kept coming back, and it was exciting. I'm like, I can handle wins and losses when it's like that. I can't handle wins and losses when you don't put everything into it.
Yeah.
So long-winded answer, but hopefully that gave you a bit of a gist.
It's okay. That was definitely the height, even with, kind of drama in the team going on. That was definitely the height of just Calindra's having a nose. He wasn't even necessarily the best forward in the world. He just had a nose to be at the right place at the right time and knows that in. So, that was definitely the highlight.
He certainly likes scoring at CHI, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was the goal of the year this year, maybe. He was lobbying us for it. So
you gotta get him out of the group.
But you know, that's the players that you like to see, right? Because they built
Yeah.
an enduring relationship with the fans. He was over after every game, you know, just being with the fans, win or lose.
Yeah.
We're saying hi to the kids, being available. And that really goes a long way with the fans.
Yeah. No, I think, and I also heard and saw some stuff. He has been and is under contract with obviously another club. So, but we did reach out to representatives. We did make an approach. It wasn't enough. I would have loved to have brought him back. I think he's a very, very good football player, and I don't really like the fact he kept scoring against me either. But just because I've seen that, they didn't. No, I like him. I think the little conversations I've had with him, I think he's a really good guy as well, and he clearly loves and maybe one day it will work out for both parties. But it always has to work out for both parties, you know.
Sure.
On this one, it didn't. But I agree. I think players that build relationships with fans is important, and we try and push them towards doing that, and try and push them towards going and chatting and walking the field afterwards and saying, you know, win, lose or draw, saying thank you, etc., etc. So
I don't think anybody will be disappointed if we just keep our nose going forward with new players and find the next Galindres or the next, you know, fan favorite.
Jonathan Ricketts,
for
Omar,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, you know,
I mean, the list
there's
goes
plenty
on
of
and on.
there's plenty of
Pedro.
talent out there, right? We don't necessarily have to go
yeah.
back to people, but I think people get nostalgic. But
yeah.
I can say, I know everybody's a huge fan of you, and everybody's excited to see sort of your vision for this year, your kind of focus and play style. Can you just, in closing, kind of touch a little bit on that?
Yeah. Again, I want us to be exciting. I want us to be front-footed. I mean, I want us to be a team that can press and can be brave and go and play in the opposition half. You know, most important thing is I want fans to go, we're not going to win every game, right? Hopefully, or not hopefully, I'm just going to say right now, we're not going to lose every game. We're not going to tie every game, but I want to go away and go, that is a team that gives a shit. That's a team that's all in. That's a team that's all action. I want to see tackles flying. I want to see passion. I want to see people that you can go, right, it hurts. Because it should. If you lose football games, it should absolutely hurt. There's no worse feeling, but equally scoring a last minute winner, there is no better feeling in the world. And we need a team that embodies that and almost like chases that high. I talk about that a lot. The football is a high, and you can chase it. You get 4 to 5 days in the week and 90 minutes on a Saturday, and you can, if you put it in, and sometimes you'll come off the wrong side of it, but if you put it in, you can get this euphoria. 3,000 people, your teammates and your coaches and everyone else that's around it, all in euphoria together. We should chase that. But you don't get it. You have to make it happen. You have to make it happen from the first minute. So we want to be a team that's front-footed, all action, that can press, that can get wide, lots of services into the box, and frankly, that's resilient, that can stand up under pressure, that can defend the penalty box, that put their bodies on the line in tough games. I think about the Omaha win away from home is probably my favorite game. There's not a lot of them, mind. My favorite game from last year, because that was a Warriors performance. And you think the amount of times people just threw their body in front of things. That's football. That's what it's about. And we didn't do that anywhere near often enough. And maybe we didn't have the personalities that were willing to do that. But that's been a big, the players we've brought back, I think 8 of are all players that I believe have winning personalities. The players we haven't brought back are players that just didn't fit the culture that I'd like to build, and hopefully the players I've brought in will share that mentality of hard work, grit, determination, commitment, and doing it with a bit of joy and passion about what they do.
Yeah. Well, that'd be amazing. We're excited.
Yeah. Let's see if it all
Maji?
pans out. No, yeah.
Maji, final thoughts?
No, I'm just super excited, really, to hear the announcement of the players that are coming in, and just you know, being around Coach Scott. I think I get a little bit more because he comes around the academy and we get to hang out, speak a little bit, away from CHI, and seeing the passion that he has right now is the same passion that's always there. And if you take his passion and it carries on with the team and it goes with us as the fans, I think we're going to be in a wonderful place next year with what it sounds like we're going to have on the pitch itself. So I'm excited to be at CHI and yelling and screaming at all the opposing coaches and the force, of course.
Referees, that's what you.
Yeah, those are our favorites.
Our favorite.
That's our favorite. I think
Though.
I'm trying to figure out, if Amen's coming back or what's going on with him. But
there you
He
go.
stays away.
We might just have to invite him, the honorary coach one day for the opposing team.
A theme night for us. It could be like an Amen, not an appreciation night. We could just invite him in and have him as like the guest who gets abused.
Yeah. We can definitely do that. Kory, I'll give him one of my seats up front, Kory. We'll put him in between us.
Him and Kyle.
Amen, I generally think is a top bloke as well.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. He's just we love it when the coaches engage with us after during the games and after, we get quite a few players and coaches from the opposing team that will come up and take pictures and talk to us and stuff. So it's definitely something that we like to put on at CHI, to have that the same love and energy during the in between, during the 90 and then after the match. Hey, great job, but super excited about what's coming on and what's coming on, as far as what you guys are going to be putting on the field and on the pitch there. So really excited with that. So appreciate you taking the time to speak with us and enlighten us and give us a little heads up and information on what's going on with the club. And we're looking forward to great announcements coming soon.
Yeah, look, guys, we can do this whenever. I'm imagine this a little bit more, obviously, out your reference, but I like to think I'm pretty approachable and I'm an open book. And obviously, if I can't answer it, I can't answer it. But for the most part, I want to have a great relationship with the fan base. I want to be very much at every aspect of the club, from U5 all the way through. I want to be seen, present, and available. So I appreciate you guys setting this up, and maybe it won't be the last.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to do it again. Maybe even once a month for the season, and maybe sometime in person. I've got a haggis guy, so if you want to get down, we can get down.
Yeah, I never had haggis, so it would actually be a first. But
really, oh wow, it's not good. So.
Yeah, that's doesn't look good, doesn't sound good.
All right, thanks, Coach. I'll talk to you later.
Cheers, guys. Enjoy your
Appreciate it, Coach. All righty. Bye-bye.
All right, man.